What's going on, guys? T2RX6 here, back for another third-party review, and today we're taking a look at the MMC Anubis. This is the TFCon 2016 Chicago exclusive. I got this one courtesy of my good buddy Skullface. I'm sure you know him. If not, make sure you just check out Skullface on YouTube. You won't regret it. Anyway, yeah, he picked this guy up for me. I was super excited about it when I saw the pictures of it. And when he got here, he was pretty disappointing. So, let's just start by looking at the figure. The figure is pretty nice looking. Not a ton of paint on him, but where it is, it's all pretty clean. This yellow, a little bit of the green behind it is coming through, but yellow is super hard to paint. Whatever, the eyes at least look pretty clean, except for on this side of mine, it missed some of its silver paint that it got on that eye. So that's a shame. The horns are good. They're nice and sharp. They will jab you nicely. Down the legs, it's all pretty nice. You do have these thigh pieces of armor. If you like them more at the front, you're certainly welcome to do that. I do think that they look better on the side personally. So, obviously this is intended to be Death's Head, the Marvel Comics character. Yeah. One thing I want to go over, the instructions say to put the hands this way. I do feel like they kind of look better this way. For some reason, to me, that just looks nicer than when it's hanging out down like this. So my personal preference, especially given how the elbow looks and stuff, is to do it this way personally. Your mileage may vary. Now this guy comes with a ton of accessories, like the gun, which he holds great. Just a little bit of paint on there to make it interesting. No problems there. We got an axe, very Death's Head weapon there, and you can take off his fist just by popping it out, and you can plug the axe in. It is fairly tight, but it fits in just fine. We got this thing. I don't even really know what this is intended to be. I'd say it's a mace, but we've got a mace, and it plugs into his hand just fine. I don't want to even think about what this might be, because here's the mace. And some of these weapons are way tighter than others to get into the hand. But actually, this isn't even the mace. I thought it was. I'm sorry, I picked up the wrong thing. I don't want to know what either of these are actually used for. Seems dirty. There's the mace. All of them have their silver accents. The silver paint looks good. No complaints. And our final weapon is this real nice looking chainsaw thing. I don't know which way is intended to be up and which way is intended to be down. Tough to plug it in. I guess, I don't know. It looks cool, but I'm not sure I dig how it comes out of his hand, so it's my least favorite of the accessories, even though to me it's the coolest. And this furthers the fact that this should be up and down, because you can't really plug it in all that well this way. Well, I guess it's kind of working, but it's not all the way plugged in there. Whereas when you go like this, you can certainly plug it all the way in. So yeah, that's his accessories. The problem is that if you take this hand off, you kind of have to put that in the box. And, well, let's talk about that. He does have some articulation on the wrist here. I don't want to forget it because I forget it all the time. But when we talk about articulation, if it's important for you to limp wrist his gun, you certainly can do that. He's got, oh, I forgot this accessory. This accessory is so easy to forget because there's no way to plug it onto him anyway. I thought maybe this circle right here, but no. So if you want Death's Head to actually have his shield on his arm, like you would expect Death's Head to do, get your tape out, because it's not going to go anywhere. It's poorly thought out. All it does is peg on the back and get in the way. That's a shame. It makes me feel like this figure was super rushed by MMC, like they just wanted to get it out the door for the convention and they didn't finish it. How do I feel that way? Well, I guess this is an extra piece that perhaps Cyclonus and Lockdown don't have. I'm not sure. I've never messed with either of them. But it's here, and it's designed that these are supposed to plug in, except that they are so tight, there's no possible chance that you're getting any of these in here. So if you want them to fit, you're going to have to drill out those holes because it flat out doesn't work. And I guess you could shave down the pegs a little. You know what? Let's see. If we take the hand out here. Yeah, see, the hand doesn't even fit in here, so it's not the right size peg hole for this. I mean, these are tight in the hand peg hole, and they just flat out don't work on this. So if you want this, you're gonna have to drill it out a little yourself with something just to enlarge that. And that sucks. That's, you know, that would look so cool having all these weapons behind his back here, and you can't do that. He can't hold his shield. Yeah, let's put all that aside. Let's talk about his articulation. Keeping in mind that the whole time his little cape thing is probably jabbing you, and it's not fun. So his head is on a weird joint that doesn't, it's not glued in or anything. You can see it's on a ball joint there. So I really don't understand why it's not glued in. I'm probably going to end up gluing mine in place. I mean, it's presumably rotating on that peg right now, but it should rotate on the ball joint. It's weird. You get the little bit of up and down out of it, and the swivel like this. The shoulders, you're on that rotation joint right here. I suppose you can kind of manipulate this a little if you need to, his shoulder rocker. I don't know what you'd use it for, but people are better at posing their toys than I am. You do have the bicep swivel, the double jointed elbow down here. You have the forearm swivel right down here, which this elbow piece is kind of on a separate thing, so you can rotate that if you don't like it. As you saw, since this just pegs in, you have that swivel, super sharp fingers that don't do anything, and the limp wristing of his gun. The waist down here works just as you would expect. Ratcheted thighs, not forward and back, just out to the side. You do have the thigh swivel, the knee, and it is, if we can make it happen, double jointed if you really need that articulation. And then the foot here is on a little ball joint. I think it's a ball joint. Yeah, a ball joint in here to give you plenty of range of motion out of that foot. So he gets plenty of range of motion, which is fine. I just don't feel like he accomplishes what you would intend Death's Head to accomplish. And he also has a lot of stretch marks that we'll see afterwards. And I don't know if they were there from production or if they were there from the first time I transformed him, but his plastic quality is not so great. It feels fine, but it just stress marks. Overall, his complexity, probably on par with this guy, who's significantly cheaper. In fact, there's a lot of similarities in the way they transform and such, but we'll get there. Personally though, if you want a better Death's Head, go get this Marvel Legends one. You can pop his hand off too if you really want to, and plug this in. And I think that, you know, I mean, it looks much more Death's Head. He's got a shield here. We can take his shield and look what he can do with it. If we can make it work. Boom, right on his arm. Just as I would expect Death's Head shield to look. Can't do that with this guy. Why not? Failure, MMC. Better Death's Head for sure. Though I will say, I do kind of like the way this all kind of emulates the cape on the back. It doesn't replace it, but it emulates it pretty well. But this one is a much better Death's Head in my opinion. So let's get this guy transformed, and he is super finicky. Considering the level of complexity on this guy, it's kind of disappointing how finicky he is. Okay, so one thing I also want to point out very clearly, the instructions tell you to turn his head around and push it back. Do not turn his head around, otherwise you can't complete the transformation as the instructions prescribe. And I'll show you exactly why. In fact, let's go ahead and turn this around. So we got the push back, and it's ever so slight. Like, look at this. That's how much it moves. That seems dumb, doesn't it? Anyway, we're going to take this, and you're going to open this little red piece here, which also has this piece that's not really well secured. It's just pegged in there and doesn't hold super well. Take this, and this needs to slide on through. We can actually fold these out right now. And we'll take the arms down like so. Get these like this. Open these up. The only advantage to having the arms the way they want you to is you can just rotate these in without rotating the wrist. But take this, and it does take a little doing on that double joint, but it should plug in just like that and look something like this. So let's do that again. We'll rotate this to the side, open these, flip it in, rotate it like that, and make sure our elbow joint is out there because it does kind of hold this all up. And rotate this down, and these armor bits can be to the front just like so. So once we got that, we can take this piece down, and you can see these two shoulder pieces, it sort of tabs in, not very well, but it kind of does. We can rotate this up, which is a problem. Stress marks around these joints here. With the cockpit still up, flip these out and flip this piece down. And now it's still easiest to leave this piece up, but you can take these wings down, and you got these tabs right here. So it should kind of tab in. It doesn't do it super well. It'll probably fight you quite a bit. But if you have that there, you should be able to see how it kind of comes undone. Not a great tabbing system, MMC. I gotta say, this is a rare, in my opinion, failure on MMC's part here. But the wing should look like that when it's done. And it probably came untabbed on me, because that's what this does. It untabs like crazy. I mean, just the force of gravity untabbed these shoulders, and it shouldn't do that. Whatever. So there we got that. We'll come down to the feet. You want to put these together. Actually, it's easier not to right now. We're going to rotate the foot like this, and then rotate the armor. And then you want to manipulate both joints on the knee. So you can get this around like this, and you can kind of see how it hugs the wing, and then you got that hole there should peg into this down here, but even that doesn't work so well. So you got that, and we'll go ahead and do that for the other side. I mean, really, you're folding his legs over onto his back, and you're putting the arms to his side, and that's the transformation, and that is poor for MMC standards, in my opinion. You got things like Hexatron, who are so overly complex and well done, and then you got something like this that tabs really don't hold together well. Here we go. We'll go ahead and bring this up, and we'll try to re-tab everything in on the wings here. Fold them forward. You can see things just really don't want to hold together here. And then you come to possibly the most frustrating part, which is to take this cockpit, and you gotta tab its teeny tiny tab into that teeny tiny hole, but it's on a swivel, so it doesn't work. So you have to hold the front of this and kind of tab it in like that and hope everything stays together. And you can see it didn't. This is still not right down here, but when you manipulate it too much now, it's gone ahead and messed up this whole wing. There we go. I think that's as good as we're going to get, and once again, it's coming untabbed here, which in the process is untabbing the cockpit. Whew, poor design. Poor design. So now, we got our head like this. They tell us go ahead and plug the shield in, but do you see a problem here? I mean, I guess that kind of works, but it is just barely held in. So what you actually should do, take this head and rotate it the other way. You probably don't even have to pull it back. And when you do this, it just works better because you can now take his teeth and kind of hold the shield with it, and that plugs in completely perfect like that. So yeah, the instructions don't really work the best way possible. But there it is, there's his alt mode. It is pretty huge. It's got no landing gear or anything, so unfortunately you're gonna rest him on his awesome looking paint job. That sucks too. One thing I forgot, also you can fold these out if you want to, just to give it a more aggressive look. I will say when it's sitting there, the spaceship looks pretty cool. I believe Lockdown has an extra piece that attaches on the back, and frankly Death's Head should have had that too, because there is nowhere on this ship that any of this stuff can plug in, which is a shame, because Death's Head, you know, I'm so used to seeing him with one hand that is a weapon, and you know, for none of these to be able to store anywhere, that's terrible. I guess you could take his one gun. He does have a peg hole here. Let's see. Is it gonna work? There we go. You can at least store his gun on the ship if you really want, but that looks stupid. Yeah, they really should have included the cabinet that came with Lockdown. So at least, you know, maybe not this because it's so big, but at least all this stuff could have like stored in like a weapon locker that he can tote behind him. Could be part of the display. I don't know. They should have done that. If you ask me, I feel like MMC should release an addendum pack to anybody who bought this that gives you something to do with these in alt mode and gives you a clip that allows him to hold the shield. That's just my thoughts. I wanted to bring out the Hasbro Brainstorm here, because you can see typically they're almost the same size. The MMC Death's Head is definitely a bit bigger, but like look how much the transformation is mirrored. The legs just go and fold onto the back in a very solid way. It pegs in. The difference is that the front of Brainstorm is the cockpit, where this was on the back. But I mean, you could have pegged this all in better on this guy. The arms kind of do the same fold up, and they peg in more solidly. You're not requiring these teeny tiny little tabs on this wing that really don't seem to sit right to make it work. And we've included his weapons in here. Oh, and not a full set of landing gear, but enough to be kind of convincing to me, kind of like an X-Wing when you land it. Overall, I think this is a better toy. Yeah, it's really a shame because this is a convention exclusive toy, and it's just so disappointing in its execution. Now, my understanding is that there is going to be a retail release of this guy, so don't go wasting your money picking up the con exclusive. I think the difference with the con exclusive is maybe one of these weapons is extra on the con exclusive and not going to be in the retail release. I believe that's what the word I've heard is. Don't quote me on that, but that's what I believe I read somewhere is going to be the difference, and possibly a little bit of the paint scheme. But honestly, it's not worth the extra price. Let's get this guy transformed back and let's get out of here. Again, this kind of showcases how simplistic he is. Rotate this around. Rotate this piece on up. Rotate his foot into position. Go ahead and move these to the side, like so. Take the shield off. Open up this piece here, which is going to allow the cockpit to come through. And before we finish doing that, let's take this and unpeg it and fold it in. Like, why don't these pegs secure somewhere in the vehicle mode? It doesn't really make a whole bunch of sense to me. Once we have that, you can take this. And we gotta get it past that top piece of the cockpit, and then you can kind of fold that back. And those little pegs do secure this in, which feels unnecessary. Make sure you close up this little piece here before you do. And there we go, that's pegged in. Big movement, there we go. You can take these pieces, and you do have the option, you can keep them down, but the instructions do want them up like this. Actually, so my apologies, I did have this a little bit wrong when I first showed it to you. They really kind of want it like that to kind of make that cape look there. So it shouldn't have been up as I had him in the original showing of the robot mode, but I mean, you have the option, whatever you want to do. So take this, and we're just going to transform them exactly how they show them in the box. We take these, and we flip them around like this. And I will say, I don't know if I said it before, but the comic that they've included, which is attached to the box, does a really cool job, in my opinion, kind of giving this guy a neat little backstory on why he looks like that, and ultimately how he ends up looking like this. It's worth a read. It only takes like a second or two. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. And I'm glad they took the time to make that fiction, because it makes this character feel more relevant, in my opinion. But he's still not a good character. I mean, if you're buying him for his robot mode, which I think you should be, he's pretty cool. And here's a better view of the back. Sorry, my pictures are going to show the other way, because I could have sworn that these were supposed to be making a W when I first got them, but I think I was wrong. But anyway, yeah, the fiction's good. The character himself definitely needs some improvement. Stupid usage of accessories. Stupid that none of them clip into place. Overall disappointing. Wait for the retail release. Maybe they'll add some kind of weapons locker or something like that. I don't know, probably not, but as it stands, this guy's pretty disappointing for his price tag. If he's going to be in any other mode for you other than robot mode, I don't know. To me, it's kind of a pass. All this stuff, I mean, I guess you could just leave it in the box, but it's just not Death's Head to me. This is the better Death's Head. Anyway, this is T2RX6. I hope you guys enjoyed the review. Again, special thanks to Bobby Skullface for sending this guy my way and picking one up for me and sending it to me, since I couldn't make TFCon this year. Anyway, I'll see you guys next week. Stay there.